on some.
Morel.
That's not, yeah, Morella.
Okay,
That's not-
welcome everyone to the regular City of Reading Planning Commission meeting for Tuesday, April 22nd, 2025. Here with me in the third floor conference room is James Harris and Peter Rye, and on Zoom we have Nelson DeLeon and Wilson Pesey. We also have the head of planning, Simon Wongolo, our consultant, Jerome Skrinkowski, Deb Hogue from Public Works, and Emily from zoning. Online, we have Michelle Mayfield, our solicitor. So I think we do have a quorum. So first item on the agenda is to amend the agenda. So we need to amend the agenda to include the reorganization of the planning commission. Do I hear a motion to amend the agenda? Yep, Peter. Second?
I'll second.
James? Question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Oh, there he is. Okay. It's got a good like that. Okay. Very good. Danny's not here today. All right, then, do I hear a motion to accept the planning commission meeting agenda as amended?
So move.
James? Okay, I'll take Nelson as the second. Okay, question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Very good. We have an addendum. We're because of the annual report, we're running a little bit behind on the meeting minutes, so we will take care of those next month. Is there any public comment on our agenda items? Hearing none, we move on to our subdivision and land development plan reviews. The first one up is a new addition for the Mitsubishi Chemical. Here it is. Mitsubishi Chemical Advanced Materials Plant on parcel D. As everyone may remember.
Good evening.
Oh, great. Scott's here.
Am I up?
Yeah.
Okay.
As you may remember, they just recently completed with us a bunch of other upgrades to their plant. So it's exciting to see that they're even putting more money into this. So I'll hand it over to Jerome for the introduction.
Okay, we received the sketch plan application, so this is an informal review, which does not require any action, just to provide guidance and direction to the applicant and to have a dialogue between the applicant and the planning commission. The site that they are considering on improving is a 4.9 acre site located at 2120 Fairmont Avenue. As you may recall, this will involve a 13,368 square foot addition for, I believe it's warehousing. As you may recall, last year we approved plans on parcels A, B, and G. This one's going to be on parcel D of their property. The first thing to note is the site is located in the manufacturing commercial zoning district, or MC zoning district. And we put the criteria that's specified for the MC zoning district. And I think that there's that we might have that the information that was contained on this plan might have been left over from the previous application.
Yeah, we tried to
Yeah,
get everything together, but we'll address that when we get to the next stage. Because again, this building was only preliminary at this point, so it may be tweaked a little bit.
And at this time, I mean, I think that Emily should also then determine if everything is from based on the sketch plan, that everything appears acceptable, so we don't have to run into a zone variance application at a later time.
Yes.
We had asked that the fire marshal review the plan to see if there's any areas of concern in this specific area. I've not received any comments just yet, but we may receive some at a later time. The applicant is well aware that we'll be requiring landscaping, street trees, and exterior lighting and solid waste management as part of the preliminary / final plan. As part of the sanitary sewer, if it's going to be a warehousing facility, it's not going to require much in terms of flow, but they should still submit a sewer narrative and will be reviewed by Public Works to determine if a planning module is necessary. Other than that, water supply to the facility would have to be evaluated by RAWA. A stormwater management plan will be required. An erosion and sedimentation control plan will be required. The municipal improvements and stormwater management agreement will also be required for this portion of the project as it gets completed. So it appears that everything's in good shape and ready to move forward to a preliminary / final plan application.
I didn't even have to be here. Did everything. So I'm with Mike McCausey from Mitsubishi. If there's any specific questions, this proposed project is just going to be warehouse space and a reconfiguration of the loading docks. We don't anticipate an increase in employees as part of that. So we will provide a narrative to address the sewer question that has come up. We will proceed with the full stormwater management, erosion and sediment control plan, and we will do infiltration testing, and we'll coordinate with Jerome. Is it still Mike?
Yep.
We'll coordinate with your engineering consultant while we do that to make sure we have everything addressed. This is pretty straightforward. The timeline that we're anticipating is a submission for the June planning commission meeting. That gives us time to address everything.
And I'll get a zoning review letter to you by early next week, and I do owe you a
Yes, so yes, that would be great, because again, one of the reasons why the sketch plans are submitted is to make sure that we ferret out any type of zoning questions, we know how to move forward. So is there any specific questions regarding the project, the plan, that Mike or myself can answer at this stage?
My only question was, and you probably won't need to do this, but will you need an HOP permit for Fifth Street?
We are trying to avoid that as much as possible. So, but that's going to be, that all depends on the direction the stormwater flows. So the idea is there's no current inlets out on Fifth Street, or there are some, and we're prefer not to tie into those. We want to try to tie it to Crescent, and that will basically determine which direction the flows go. If it goes to the north, then it doesn't flow into the PennDOT right away. We won't have to worry about it. So that's kind of how we're approaching it. But it will require some more evaluation, and we're in the process of finalizing the field survey to get accurate locations for the topo and all of the units.
Yeah, that was my only question. Does anyone else have a question about this plan?
Well, just as a follow-up, Mr. Chairman, this is Will. So is the applicant in touch with the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation and regarding the highway occupancy permit, just to make sure one way or the other?
Not yet, but that'll be part of our due diligence as we move forward.
Right. That's what I was thinking, because it could be, there could be questions about lights or signage or whatever. I don't know what rights of way, I should say, that they claim and whatever. But so I think it's prudent. Makes sense to try to avoid it, certainly, because that could hold things up if you can. But it would always be advisable to see what they think. I know it's a sketch plan phase, so I didn't expect that you'd already reached out to them, but yeah, that certainly would be prudent. That's all I had, Mr. Chairman.
Good one.
Any other questions? Not, we'll wrap this up and submit everything for June meeting. Thank you.
I think, yeah, we always thank you for coming and, with these sketch plans, make sure that, nothing, no surprises
Yes.
are in the way.
Exactly. I don't like surprises, so, if we're done, I have another item on the agenda that I'll stay for as well. The Cotton Works time extension, so.
Oh,
Okay, thank you.
I'll talk to you. I'll talk to you.
Very
Thanks,
good.
everyone.
All right, thank you.
Well, thanks for coming, sir.
Yeah, see ya.
I wanted to make sure if there were any questions for Mike to be here, but it sounds like you guys have a pretty good handle on what the project is, so that's good. Okay.
Yeah, we're kind of used to dock reconfigurations and stuff. We had one up on Lens at Lens Millie a few years ago, so. Okay, very good. Then we will move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the Luzerne Place Development Plan located between 1400 and 1422 Luzerne Street. This is also a sketch plan review, and I'll turn it over to Jerome for the introduction.
Thank you. This plan was mentioned, was submitted as a sketch plan application. The project would involve 5 parcels of land located between 1400, 1422 Luzerne Street, in which the cumulative area will be about 20,500 square feet. The applicant is proposing to utilize those properties to construct 8 one-family attached dwellings or townhouse units on the property. We had provided a chart just to outline what the base requirements are for zoning, and I believe Emily has also now issued a review of that as well, for the purposes of this, for the applicant to follow this sketch plan application. The applicant did submit architectural renderings that can be viewed or we can get to towards the end of the review. But let's leave this up for now. The applicant intends to utilize the existing 15-foot wide alley that is located at the rear of these townhouses. The access alley does interconnect Luzerne into Lackawanna. The portion to Lackawanna may be slightly improved or needs to be improved further, so that's in mud-free conditions and so it's made so it's accessible. However, the area that then ties back into Luzerne would then cross the applicant's property and into the PennDOT right of way along the Warren Street bypass, Route 12, and then eventually come back and intersect with Luzerne. So that's something that we're going to have the applicant check on to see if they are permitted to have a point of ingress and egress, considering that you can tell it's been used for that purpose. However, does PennDOT recognize it as a right of way through their right? So that would have to be resolved as part of this plan. If the applicant cannot get access to or direct access to Luzerne and has to depend upon the access to Lackawanna, then we just have to make sure that the 15-foot stretch can be improved up to Lackawanna, and then we would have to then identify it as a dead end alley, since it would. But certainly access can be accomplished one way or another. The existing curb sidewalks and ramps along this stretch are in very poor condition or do not exist. So Public Works will need to verify that, and then it would then be determined that the applicant would then be responsible for those site improvements. The applicant then also would be responsible for a landscaping plan, street trees, exterior lighting, solid waste management plan for this project, and also identifying how those will be accomplished. The fire and rescue department has already done their initial review and has determined that a fire hydrant is required along this segment of Luzerne Street. So the applicant will need to work with RAWA on that. There was, this property was previously served, I believe, by sanitary sewer. So that would be disconnected, and then 8 new units would be required to be a connection. This would be a planning module that would need to be approved by the city and then also by Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection. Other than that, as I mentioned, RAWA would still need to review the plan. A stormwater management plan would be required, an erosion and sedimentation plan would be required. Municipal improvements agreement would be required. So I don't foresee that there's going to be any zoning conflicts. Emily may have other comments that she may want to add, and our whole purpose and intent is to make sure that there's a clear path to a preliminary plan.
Did you? Fire just said that they would need to also install a new hydrant there. Sorry, I don't know if I missed that part. As for zoning, they're not gonna need any zoning relief. They meet all their setbacks, they have the minimum lot size. One of the owners, he actually contacted me quite a bit ago and asked for all that information ahead of time, so it made my review a lot easier. But it complies with everything, so it's just a matter of them getting their plans in.
Okay, very good. I forgot to take a look. Did they submit a plan with the water inlets at
No,
along Lackawanna? Because I noticed that street runs downhill.
not at this time.
Okay, yeah, I was just wondering if they would need to take,
They
if
did submit,
PennDOT's going to require something for that.
they did submit a existing conditions plan, but I don't think that that's on there.
Very good. Is there someone here for this plan?
Hello, my name is Joel Ovala. I spoke to Emily earlier today. So I'm the applicant.
Oh, hi, how you doing?
Hello.
And I'm here as well, Tom Ludgate. Hopefully you guys can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you very well, Tom.
Yeah, so Jerome did an excellent job explaining everything. It's 8 townhouses with parking spaces in the back along the alley. And those will be served by Lackawanna or possibly Luzerne. It looks like there could be I don't know if it's a city right away or some kind of local street right away in between Warren and this last lot. So there could be a way to loop it and not need a PennDOT permit. We're still checking that out.
I think what he was trying to say is about the point of ingress and egress from Luzerne to the back.
Right. I think right through here, there's actually one plan I saw shows a city like a 32-foot wide right of way through there. So we're still checking it out. It'll be part of our preliminary plan.
Okay, great. Yeah, sometimes those things are not easy to figure out if, you know, because it looks like if there was something here at one time, it was taken down a long time ago.
Right. Yep.
And then to my question, Tom, about the putting in more storm drains along Lackawanna. Do you foresee that, or is that something that you would have to figure out with the stormwater management?
Yeah, we'd have to figure that out as we go. I mean, I don't have an answer for that now because we really didn't even start looking at that yet, but it's certainly possible, but I don't know if we do that or not right now.
Yeah, as I said, I would just, suggest seeing what,
Yep.
If PennDOT's going to require something, because I know that there were some changes made down on the next road, and then they got washouts and stuff, and they weren't very pleased.
I can believe it.
All right, does anyone else have a question or comment on this plan from the commissioners?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is Will. So
Okay, go ahead, Will.
thank you. So to understand the scope of this, as far as our process, so we would be looking at an application for a consolidation of these lots, right? And then a subdivision into 8 individual lots. Is that the plan? These would be individual lots then?
Yes.
Yeah, it could be that.
Parcels, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly one option. It could also be some kind of HOA, but I would think it ends up being 8 individual lots.
Okay, because that's what I was wondering thank you, Tom. So it could be, my other question is, is the plan at this point, if you don't mind me asking, because this is just the informal sketch plan process, which we always appreciate, is the plan that these would be sold as homes, people would own, or would these be apartments? Because now you raised the possibility of a homeowners association. Are you sure yet, or is it too early to know exactly what you're planning to do yet?
Joel, you can handle that one? Sure.
Yep, I can. Yeah, so they're gonna be individual homes. So they will be so it'll be 4 connected on one side and then another 4 on the other, but they will be sold as individual lots, as individual homes.
Great. Yeah, then I guess our planning staff and consultant will look at whether or not then it would need to be, I would think it would be that they would have to be split into individual lots for each one. So we would subdivide then. But yeah, I see how you have it 4 and 4. That's okay. That doesn't make a difference, I think. So just so we understand the scope of where it's going. I appreciate that. I think it's good. We're supposed to be promoting home ownership, so I like that. But just needed to understand how we're just conceptually where we're going with this, because it'll be a number of steps in the process, and some of that could be done in short order. But I think if I'm understanding it right, we would consolidate into one and then subdivide, unless there's another path. Our counsel would, of course, our solicitor would counsel us on the proper way to do that. But just wanted to understand.
Yeah, right now, right now, there is a possibility of looking at it. There's 2 parcels that they can combine and then divide those. And then there's the other 60 feet, which then they could divide those into 3, or just consolidate them into one lot and then just divide it by 8. So there's a couple ways of doing it, and it all depends, I guess, where the lot lines fall. But I think that's up to the applicant to present. The easiest thing is to do it, combine them to one and then redivide them.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, and I suppose we could do per parts, but I would think that because this is homeownership is why part of the reason I was asking. The owners would want, they would want deeds and clear title, I would think. So yeah, I would think it would make sense to subdivide. And I think that's the right approach. It makes sense. Well, thank you. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Will. So yeah, thinking about something.
Thank you so much for your time too. I appreciate it. Yeah, we definitely are promoting home ownership on this for sure.
This is fantastic, and this is something that the administration is looking for. So we will certainly expedite this as quickly as we can.
Awesome.
Go ahead.
What is the issue with the, this gravel road that's in that right of way?
So it
Did
looks
they
like,
intend to use that specifically for something? There's other alley access from the other direction, isn't there?
well, there's other alley the other direction, but somewhere along the line, someone partially constructed a vehicular point of ingress to get back to that. To that
But it's
site.
not, development does not presume that legally constructed road or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, it's
It's
clearly,
necessary, it's not relevant to the development.
Yeah. They could have another option with doing a connection directly to Lackawanna.
Yeah.
But then they'll just need cooperation from the other two landowners that are to the north of.
Oh, so those. The alley is not clearly,
It's on the alley map though,
it's on the alley map, but it's not navigable at this point, is that what you're saying?
not 100%.
It is by
Someone
whole.
might be able to find that.
Depends on what kind of vehicle, right? Okay.
But no, it needs to be improved.
Yeah. And that's, the parking is in the back, so
Yes.
that poses the sign, so.
And the one thing I suggested was in order, we require an 18-foot wide aisle depth for vehicles in a parking lot, but that's predicated that there's a 24-foot access alley or road between that. This is gonna be 15 feet, so I suggested that they look at a 20-foot depth so that no one's overhanging the alley, and then that way you can't get by for some reason, just to give us a little bit, give everyone a little bit more room if there's a pickup truck or something like that, they could be able to move it in a little further than 18.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know that we do have some, since I think most of the parking spaces that are now marked in the city are 18 feet. Some of these larger pickup trucks, they don't fit because they're 20 feet long.
So yeah, at a minimum 20 feet, see what you can do with that, Tom, just to make sure that
Sure. Yep.
that's not going to create any adverse conditions that the neighbors would then get all up in arms.
Okay.
Very good.
Hey, any other comments or questions on this one? Okay, once again, we really appreciate you coming in and presenting the sketch plan so that we can review things like this alley question, which is always which oftentimes leads to problems.
Yeah.
So thank you again, and we hope to see you soon with your preliminary plan.
Perfect. Thank you very much for your time. We appreciate it. And we'll make sure to address any issue. We've been in connection with the arborist, Rawa.
That's good.
So we'll make sure that, everything is done, according to plan and as smooth as possible. Bring extra homes to the city of Reading.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, and thank you, Tom.
Thanks.
Okay, next up, we have the plans requiring time extensions. The first one is the Goggle Works 2 phases 3 through 5, which was presented recently. That was December?
Last month.
Was it last month?
Yes.
See, I get everything all mixed up anymore.
This will take a little bit of time because of the planning module.
Oh, yeah.
And the zoning relief for the apartments.
Yes, so, I think I just saw some plans that are ready to sign off for the CO. So I'll be doing that tomorrow I realize I never actually approved that permit, but I'll get that to you tomorrow morning.
Okay.
And then I think it's just me and the fire marshal are the last ones to sign off on the CO.
Okay, all right.
But then, the time extension is just, for the apartment use mostly. Everything else is permitted by right. And that's the permit that I'll be approving tomorrow.
Yeah, so that means that BCIU can get in there. I think we talked about that.
So
All right, let me see here, and how long an extension would you like?
I gave 120 days.
Exactly.
Okay. Great. Very good. Does anyone have a question about this plan and the extension? Okay, do I hear a motion to grant a time extension for 120 days for the Goggle Works 2 phases 3 through 5 land development plan, especially for I believe it's phase 4 for the apartments, so that they can get their planning modules and their zoning relief. Yes, I think it is.
I'll make that.
Okay, James.
Second.
Second. Okay, Nelson. Okay, question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, very good.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and then next we have a time extension for 630 South 9th Street, also known as 601 South 9th Street.
And they also just submitted a revised plan that will be considered by you next month, so we'll do the time extension, but just so you know that the plan sort of fits.
Oh, okay, great. And how long for the time extension?
There was no specific time. We do have it.
Dan, how long will you need for this one?
Are you talking to me?
Yes,
Oh.
the South 9th Street parking.
I think I put in there 3 months.
Okay, so 90 days.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't think we'll need that. Hopefully we can get this thing rolling along here, but just be on the safe side, so we're not always doing this. We put it in for 3 months.
Just make sure it's after the 3-month PC meeting. If
So
we're
the
putting the
July.
date in.
Just make it
Oh, by the
to,
dates.
make it to the end of July, July 31st.
Okay. Till July 31st.
So, July 31st.
I said
Okay,
yes. I
all
said
right.
yes.
All right. Okay, does anyone have any questions on this particular plan?
Just if you could make it, Dan, if you could please tell your client, the property owner, that he needs to take off every single vehicle off of that lot. It's become a property maintenance and police concern with how many vehicles are on that lot. They're not allowed to be parking anything on there until this project is complete.
Okay, I'll tell them.
Thank you.
All right, then, do I hear a motion to grant a time extension for 630 South 9th Street parking, land development plan until July 31st?
Make a motion.
Okay, James, and I'll take Peter as the second. Okay, question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, very good. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
It looks like we have no plans requiring reaffirmation today.
It's a miracle.
I guess, I think we had a ton of them last month.
Yeah,
so.
that's my.
Next up, a waiver for the Burn Street Car Wash.
As you may recall, when this was the Burn Street Car Wash and the Burn Street Storage, we approved a waiver for a stormwater management design requirement that the applicant is seeking here. So we already granted this waiver, but when it was 2 lots. So now it's just 1 lot. So it's a waiver request that's been submitted in writing. So I have no objections at all with the granting of this stormwater management waiver.
Yeah, because nothing's really
It's the
changed.
same
It's
thing,
just-
yeah.
Yeah,
And it's a design criteria for calculations that are necessary for the project. I think we granted it already, but let's just play it safe.
very good. Any questions on the waiver? Hey, what's the section? That, do you have that? Do you have that?
So, the letter. The letter that they had submitted.
Let me see if I can find it.
The stormwater management ordinance would be section 505 something.
For stormwater, it's a modification, not a waiver. Just FYI.
Okay.
Okay.
The letter should be issued by that's it.
Okay, 505-125. Okay, great. That just makes it easier for our note taking at the end of the year. Okay, very good. Do I hear a motion to grant the stormwater modification from section 505-125? Okay, James. A second,
Second.
Peter? Great. Question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, opposed? Very good. We have the waiver. I'm sure Joan will appreciate that. So very good. On to the next thing. We don't have anyone else here. Just making sure that no one's left over. We have that sometimes. Since Deb is here, I'm going to ask her about the Chapter 94 report.
Okay, well, just I want to thank you guys for everything you've done for getting things ready for us. The Chapter 94 report is an annual PADEP requirement. It's one of those ones where it looks back 5 years and looks ahead 5 years with the concept of if there is any type of overload that is projected, that gives you time to design, reevaluate, design, and construct for your typical type of improvements you might need, whether it be to address something hydraulically or organically is typically how you're doing it. For the city, because we are a regional system, it involves getting information from all the contributing municipalities about the systems, because they all own and operate their own systems, where we own and operate our collection system, but then also have the treatment plant. So projecting the flows is a really key thing for us. And that's the part where you guys come in with knowing what plans have been submitted, where there may be developers coming in and actually talking to staff, kind of getting an idea for that. I still remember many, many years ago, the Goggle Works showing up on a report for the very first time, going, Goggle Works, what's that? But it was before anything had been submitted. They had just come in initially talking with staff about what they were thinking of doing for a project. But that it's very important information for us to be able to determine what flows we may be looking at and from where they're coming. So for the city, it's a lot more of redevelopment than it is what Mr. I'm going to pronounce his last name, Oval, was presenting, where you're really kind of taking an area that at this point looks like there's nothing there. More often we're taking something where maybe a building is coming down, something new is coming up, or you're taking something that was maybe a single family home and it's being split into something else for a different type of use. So having that knowledge to be able to make sure that our system is able to handle things is very important for us. But it's an annual report. It's looking at everything that's coming in. We also, as you're well aware, groundwater goes up and down, pipes develop cracks, flows go up and down as rain goes up and down. And it's really a matter of looking back where things were 5 years, where you look to be the next 5 years. This year we did something kind of interesting and looked back because there have been a lot of discussions because we used some of this information for doing the planning module reviews as we're looking at those projections. And we had some discussion with the one consultant that we used when they projected a very large amount of flow increase. And we're going, whoa, we look back 20 years at what our 5 year average was then compared to now. They are less than, I'm gonna say, less than 500,000 gallon difference over a 20-year time frame. So it's showing that people are tightening up their systems as we're seeing new flows coming in places, and sometimes it's almost more like a shell game as the flows are moving throughout the system. And that can be more difficult to plan for because we have the capacity at the plant, but we really need to make sure we have the capacity to get the flow to the plant without having any type of overflows. So some of the information that you're putting together in that respect is very important for us. Appreciate everything that Jerome has done because he kind of takes the lead on that one, pulling a lot of the information together, but then you're all reviewing it, making sure things look good. If there's anything different that you're gonna that you say, hey, this project is really fast tracking. We want you to be aware that you're probably gonna see this flow in the next year, or oftentimes till we actually see the flows, might be 2 years for a project that's been approved, where the ones are just kind of starting to come through the process. It might be 3 or 4 years, depending on what they're doing, till the actual flows are received. So just wanted to really, there's a lot of things that go together with it, a lot of things and reports that are done from the plant throughout the system, all the different pieces of the puzzle coming together. But as we are doing the flow projections, the work the planning commission does and the planning staff is huge. So I really want to say thank you.
You're getting flows from other municipalities, but
Yes.
you don't own the pipes and you can't manage the stormwater infiltration.
Correct.
That's how do you,
It's their job.
That's their job. They pay by the gallon.
they pay for it, and you
Yes.
can measure it.
They measure it. They pay for it. We have intermunicipal agreements with each of the municipalities for what they send to us that spells out how they pay for things. So they have an incentive in that respect.
Yeah.
I think I mentioned this before. I got on one of the social media platforms, was on Nextdoor. People in Muhlenberg are complaining because their price of their sewage went way up, and they're trying to blame it on the city. And it's like, hey, we got agreements. We just can't raise the prices out of nowhere.
No, you are correct, Wayne. The agreements that we have do detail very clearly how the charges are done. We actually have 2 different formats for agreements. And each one is very specific as to what things are allowed, what things are not allowed to be charged, and how the calculations are done, when the payments are due.
Yeah, so, yeah, I just pointed that out and said, hey, we have very tight agreements with these municipalities, and I think some of it just might have to do with that. Muhlenberg system's pretty big, I would suspect, so there's a lot of maintenance to do there.
Some of it, when you look at how the agreements are done, and since you kind of bring the agreements into this, the agreements, you're typically looking more at your long-term planning. The Chapter 94 is looking out 5 years. I don't know how many of you remember when we did the Act 537 plan. We did that back in 2012, and that looked out to 2035. So it's a much longer term when you're doing larger projects, huge major interceptors, large pump stations, rebuilding the bulk of a treatment plant, those types of projects. But to do that, we went out to each of the municipalities. So they actually would sit down with their Emily and go through and say, okay, based on the zoning, what do you foresee here? You've got, these things are vacant, it's zoned in this way, or what's the highest and best use for this land? And I will say that Muhlenberg was very aggressive and forward thinking in what they believe will happen in the area. So it does show with some of the things that they're paying for. They own their own capacity though, so they are paying the capacity up front. So they're paying debt service for the capacity that they own. The city does that, Muhlenberg does that, and Laurel does that.
So you have a new plant, basically,
pretty much.
Pretty much.
Most of the liquid side is new, the solid side is a combination.
Do you have overflow events?
I can say that since we have redone the Sixth and Canal pump station, there has not been an overflow event. And I'm actually thinking back, sir. The 19th Ward pump station still has an unattended overflow that goes to the Topahawken Creek. That is the pump station that has been redesigned. Council awarded contracts to construct the new pump station there. At one time, many years ago, the Sixth and Canal pump station actually had a hydraulic capacity that was higher than what the treatment plant had. And the treatment plant had, I'm looking at you because I know what you do for a living. The treatment plant had pumped forward flow twice. So there were places where you were, instead of pumping the flow, you could switch different parts of the treatment from being primary to secondary to tertiary. You could switch a few different treatment units around to try to minimize the amount of forward flow required to be pumped. But now everything comes in and it goes by gravity through the plant. So we have been able to actually have flow go through in excess of what the design was for. Not by a whole lot, but just a slight bit over. Without having violation and without having an overflow.
There was such a large stormwater inflow of the system. It's mostly crack pipes, sewer cabs, whatever.
There's a whole host of different things, yeah. I mean, you can even see when you look at things, when you start to kind of look at the diurnal flow patterns and then have a rain event, you can see how when the timing of something coming in, you can get a feel for how far out in the system it is that the problems exist. And I'll say some municipalities are very aggressive about handling that, and others are not as aggressive.
Does everybody get billed fairly for stormwater inflows?
The majority of the flow coming into the plant is metered.
By municipality?
By the municipalities, they are required, as part of their chapter 94, they have to provide the certifications for when their meter calibrations were done by a third party. So there's a number of different things in place that way to try to protect the city's interests and to try to be fair with everyone.
Yeah, because it seems to me that whatever land development goes on, sit here and think about doing lodges and so forth, but it all gets swamped by storm events anyway, right? Because the capacity to deal with storm events is a bigger problem.
Well, and one of the other things I'll say is even when you look at how a demolition occurs, because it's really important for how something is capped off so that you're not getting a large stone lot suddenly becoming a big French drain coming into the sewer system. There's a whole, you're correct. You've got your hand on the pulse on this, you know that.
Yeah, well, I know other municipalities around the country are struggling with this mightily, so.
Yes.
Yeah, I think, one thing that Deb pointed out to us years ago is that at least I think it's Lancaster. We don't have to do what Lancaster does.
Right.
Because we have separate stormwater and separate sewage. From what Deb told me, Lancaster doesn't have that, and they are spending buku bucks to separate it all.
Yes, they are. I believe they've had a large project that, and I'm not quite sure if the bids came in or if it's still out on the street right now. But when the city put in the sewer system, a lot of stormwater infrastructure had already been in place. And in a time when in the United States, most of the systems were combining, like what Philadelphia had been, what Lancaster, Pittsburgh, Erie, Reading opted not to and separated the system. I'm looking at Peter going, it was the concept of do you flush things through?
Right,
Which is why, we've ended up with a lot of funky shapes from sewers as a result, which have been very interesting, but Peter and I could kind of geek out on that. But you are 100% correct, sir, that we are a separate system, so we are not treating all of the stormwater coming through. We do see a much higher flows
You
during
do
storm
got a
events,
fair amount of it, though.
but no, yeah, nowhere near what some of the other municipalities see.
Well, no, they're getting all of it.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, thanks.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Does anyone else have any questions about the chapter 94 report?
I thought it was good, Mr. Chairman. I was surprised, and I asked our planning consultant in an email about it, that the Riverdale section of the city does not have sanitary sewer service yet. So the plan that is on there, I thought it was the housing, because everything else looked like more units being added. It's to add them to the system, if I'm right. If Jerome, you'd like to explain that for everybody briefly.
Deb and I had a discussion on where we might have missed opportunities for future connections. And Riverdale did come up into the discussion, and then we were looking at the number of existing units, and plus there's some undeveloped lots in there, so I think we came up with 125 for Riverdale in the event that it is required to be connected, or the city wants to interconnect it. It's certainly a possibility that would involve a pump station.
That area had been, and I was told probably 20 years ago that area had been looked at, I want to say in the 60s or 70s for development, and it would involve some intermunicipal agreements with a municipality that perhaps Mr. Rye has mentioned, as well as Mr. Bueller. And there was not the political will to work together at that time. So that area has maintained that it has the on-lot systems. That said, that area also does not have storm sewers.
That was going to be another question I had. If they had storm, they don't even have that. Wow.
It's
Yeah.
it's sheet flow that goes through the roads and into the Schuylkill River.
Into the
In some
river right there,
respects-
yeah.
In some respects, adding storm sewers can help to protect the on-lot systems because it's just protecting that from getting into and absorbing into the soils.
Mhm.
The back in the day, 20-some years ago, when I was still working at the Red Eagle, I had to go to Strausstown and cover their 537 meeting because most of the on-lot systems in Strausstown failed. So I think it's DCED, right? Or is the EPA that goes up there and says, hey, you gotta build a sewer plant.
DEP will go up and sell you that. DCED might try to help you fund it.
That's how it is, yeah. And I still remember that people were pretty upset.
There was an area in Spring Township that got sewered, I'm gonna say in the last 20 years or so. And there were people there that they basically had holding tanks anymore, not on-lot systems, and it was very expensive pumping.
Mhm.
So once you're at that point where you have the failure, the cost of connecting and paying for some of the, whether it's front footage or some of the things that you can do, look very appealing compared to some of the operations and maintenance costs when you don't have a system at all.
I was just curious too. Do you know, are they served by the Reading Area Water Authority, or are they served by Wells
Yes.
or what? Oh, by Rawa?
They're
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Well,
I
that's
didn't even
good.
know that about Riverdale.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's, that is something that to perhaps plan ahead for. Because like I said, Strausstown, people were pretty upset when they found out that the EPA came in and forced them to get a sewer plant.
And then you see it in Riverdale also, you combine, a lot of the lots are 20-foot wide, so you gotta combine them in order to get not only to meet zoning requirements, but you also then have to have it so you can put your septic system on there as well.
The standards for DEP require you to be able to cite two systems. So you've got your primary and your backup, which again increases the amount of land someone needs.
Yeah, because I know that sewer system, well, my father built the house I grew up in, and the holding tank and the actual sewage field with the pipes with holes in them. It's pretty big. Energy plant. Yeah. Yeah. All right, very good. Well, thanks, Deb, for that, because we usually don't have your expertise here, so I thought that it's a good time to ask you.
Sure, no problem.
All right, next up, we have the Planning Commission Annual Report, which we received the draft of. And I started going through it today. We still have a little bit more work to do. But
Yes.
I'll turn it over to Jerome for the overview.
Okay, so what we did was we basically been utilizing almost a similar format that we've used in the last 3 years. So we have the annual report is to identify what our activities have been for the past year. Keep in mind, we're reporting on 2024, not what we did last month. So we attempt to do that. The first section, or section A, is plans that were approved. Or I'm sorry, the first section is identifying the section A is identifying the planning commission members. And just to identify those, it was brought to my attention that maybe we should identify those that are currently active versus ones that have resigned. So we'll put the little side footnote next to everyone's active with the exception of press. Section B is approved subdivision and land development plans that were done in 2024. And as you can see, there are 17 of those. If we missed any, that's why I left a couple blanks, just to say, see if we did, but we went through all the meeting minutes and I think that those were it. But if we're incorrect, then we'll make the adjustments accordingly. Still have to add the resolution numbers to this, and that's usually done the last step. Section C is the approved plans that were reaffirmed as per the City of Reading Code and also PAMBC, and we had 14 of those. Some of those we did 2 or 3 times, but we've had 14 plans reaffirmed with that sequence. Plans that are still considered pending or active plans. And again, some of these may have been approved within the last couple months, but they're, as of 2024, we had 13 active plans that were still in our being reviewed. Section E is plans that have been denied, withdrawn, and or waived. Last year, we didn't have any of them in this section. Now we have 12 that were either waived, withdrawn,
Going dormant, qualify for any of those categories.
dormant. They're still in D. So yeah, they haven't been officially denied. Section F is active and or approved development plans with municipal improvements agreements and escrow accounts. This comes up every now and then. This is a new section that was added because a lot of you have asked questions. Say, for example, Habitat for Humanity. Where does that stand? Does it have an escrow account? So this is giving you the 21 plans that we still follow because they have either municipal improvements agreement or they agreed to do the improvements before their plan was reported. So this is something that's a little new, but I think it's good to have. Section G is conditional use or special exception plans. And last year, Emily, did we have any
What?
special exceptions or conditional uses? I don't think we had any.
For the 2024?
Yeah,
Couple.
okay, that's something we need to correct then.
Oh, yeah,
That special exception that's actually come in front of I'm sure there's been that.
The ones that the planning commission had made a recommendation.
The only one that can, like, right off the bat is 1125 Ball Street. No.
That was done 2023.
Okay, then,
Well, take your time.
yeah. Off the top of my head, I can't think of any specific ones, but I'm sure there's been at least one.
Yeah,
Because
just
we
ones
have a
that,
couple.
yeah, just ones that the planning commission had made a recommendation.
yeah, I think South 14th Street.
That's coming up, so,
Oh,
that's coming up in May, so that.
they went to the zoning
Yeah.
hearing board once and
No, they went to zoning hearing board, got the relief zoning hearing board. You guys gave them a recommendation to approve, but then council denied it. They came around again and they will be on the agenda. I think, whatever, it's like May 12th or something like that. One of they are scheduled though. I'm posting for it this week.
That's the only one I can think of.
Yeah, so as of now, I don't have any on here. Section H is municipal plans, reports, and ordinances. We did a lot. This includes zoning amendments, chapter 94 report, our annual report, downtown strategic plan, the implementation phase, the comprehensive plan initiatives. I should probably say comprehensive plan initiatives. Zoning map amendments, considerations, parking and loading amendments, stormwater management amendments. I mean, we did a lot. And so if we missed anything, I didn't fill in Vision Zero plan because I'm not sure if we did that in 2025 or 2024. But I think it was called the active transportation plan.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
formerly the active transportation.
So that's what that needs to say. In lieu of that. So we did it, we did over at least 20 things in terms of those ordinances, plans, and reports. Planning commission resolutions, this is something that's filled in last on how many resolutions we passed for approving plans, reaffirming plans, identifying the meeting minutes and house cleaning items. Then the last section is the planning commission projects, meetings and activities that are typically done outside of this forum. And I just used last time, and Peter, I'm not sure if did we include Chris in this or not? Well, I mean, this is something that's completely independent of I know you're a member.
Well, yeah, we only, got approval from the state, right before New Year's.
So should I just take that one off?
Yeah.
But as you can see, there's still some opportunities for corrections, edits, and additions. So whatever modifications you're required to do. The constraint that we have is the MPC stipulates that we issue a report every year, and it's in April. So we could approve this with the corrections, additions, modifications that are necessary, and then we'll come back in May and then reaffirm it. I'll leave it up to you. Not going to be anything major, I don't think.
No, I don't think so either, because I did read through it this afternoon. The only thing that I could think of was that South 14th Street.
Yeah, that's like, again, you got like kind of that happened in 2025.
Yeah, 320 North 901 Spring Street. That was the McDonald's. That went through. Go for variances.
Yeah, the variance, we don't. It's the ones the planning commission.
Yeah, so 320 North 9 was an adaptive reuse.
Okay.
That's the only line I was.
Yeah, so things like that, we're looking to fill the gaps.
Very good. All right, any questions on the annual report? Okay, do I hear a motion to accept the annual report? Subject to necessary additions and corrections.
Make a motion.
I'll take Peter first and James second. We'll reverse it this time. Question on the motion? All All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, we have our, at least, we have, 95% of the annual report here. So we will get that finished up soon. Okay, now here's something I forgot to do. Planning Commission TOD overlay feedback and comments.
Yeah, about that, last year we did have someone called come present to the planning commission about the everybody. And we did give him some feedback about the ordinance. He went back, revised that, and he did send back his revision in February to all of us. I sent out that copy. At this point, he's requesting for feedback from us and also from the planning commission and the staff as well. The staff was able to get together and they have put together some kind of feedback which we are discussing on Thursday and will be sent to him. But also, I would like to ask the planning commission, if any one of us has any revision, please send it back to Peter so that he can incorporate it in his ordinance before the presentation. I have been able to set him up for the planning commission workshop, which is going to come in May. He requested that if we have any feedback, we give him that before the workshop so that he can incorporate everything before he talks to the planning commission.
I think the only thing that we brought up was the size of the TOD seemed to be.
So I think it
That's
changed.
one of the comments that we touched on, and we came up with like a proposed smaller area to see, to give to them.
How did that go?
Well, we haven't get it, when we got together, we kind of agreed amongst ourselves what would kind of be a more appropriate
Yeah.
TOD.
It's like
Just,
Bulk downtown, that's what it was.
Well, yeah, and just from lived experience, the TOD coming out, to 11th and then all the way out to Buttonwood, I live there. That's not walkable for me to, like, it's barely walkable to get here, let alone to walk to where the train station is. It's a 15-minute walk from here to my house, which isn't a lot, but for TOD doesn't really seem.
No, that's gonna alter zoning in that area substantially.
And it's just one of those things that also, like, that area is already, for the most part, built out.
That's right.
So you have a little bit kind of like already, it's already somewhat protected from that kind of development, but also, we don't necessarily want all of that far into or covering that much of a residential area.
Doesn't it negate the parking requirements?
Well, the parking requirements that we have in draft form, that's one of the comments that was brought up, is it's redundant. That in the TOD overlay district, it's suggesting the same thing that we have in draft form on reductions, and you can't go more than 100%. Maximum you can get as far as a credit. There are other provisions we felt that it was overwhelming in terms of, is this going to be used, or is this going to be something that the development group's going to look at and say, I'm not touching this. It is very overwhelming work to determine and say, I can accomplish this. This makes sense. It's going to be worth my while to do this type of project. Not to mention there is not a lot of space in the TOD zone.
Yeah, the biggest,
You talked about undeveloped space.
Yeah. You'd have to, it involved taking down other properties or other uses or.
Well, we get into so building warehouse, factory, whatever, old buildings that are get converted into apartments. And struggle to come up with the parking.
Yeah.
And if that so it's relieved for essentially the entire downtown, which is what the Everly district, just as it was presented, covered, it takes a parking issue off the table from the developer standpoint. But maybe not entirely, but.
It already does. We already have the provisions written.
We do.
Yeah, and like I said, you can't go over 100% of credit. So if we're going to be giving them a credit throughout the city on if certain things exist, say bus service, or there's available parking further away than the normal 700 feet, we can provide them credits.
What are the major alterations to zoning that somebody doesn't contains? Major items.
It provides a whole bunch of design guidelines that would provide that the developer would have to follow in order if you be permitted by right, but you've got to follow a lot of provisions. And they're all good intent, but we just want to make sure that whatever development group is going to be looking at this is going to say, yes, this is, that I can work with this.
As I mentioned before, the old Burke's Optical building is being looked at by Delaware Valley. They're called Delaware Valley Development Corp. Yeah. And they're looking at that now. Positive thing about that is that there's more than enough parking there. There's the Penn Optical. Yeah. South 8th Street. I lived on 100 blocks, and it'd be the 200 block of South 8th Street. And the great thing about that is that all that empty land there is all part of the same plot now, and subdivided by an alley. Is it 20 feet? Yeah, it's a good size alley. It's like a 20-foot alley. Might even be a half street. So that you can get all that parking there. Of course, the developer might want to put a building there. So, those are the type of things we got to think about.
That's what Duke did. Duke
Oh yeah,
converted to one side, and then they used park on the other side.
yeah. That would work well, because actually then the parking lot would be right up against the railroad tracks. Get a little bit separation from the railroad.
So the planning commission is going to attempt to assemble its comments on April 29th, and then the planning commission meeting or workshop session will be on May 20th.
Okay.
So I would say if you have any comments, give them to Simon.
Okay. Very good. All right. Any other questions on the TOD overlay district? All right. Hearing none, we move on to the Burnham Township Comprehensive Plan. Did not get a chance to look at this yet, but I am glad that they sent it to us. Last year, we looked at Muhlenberg's.
Yes.
Muhlenberg and Laurelville's. So it's nice to get Burnham Township's comprehensive plan in, trying to clean it up a little bit, because whoever did the PDF, it's not familiar without actually how to use the PDF the Adobe PDF program.
And the loader was crooked.
Yeah, but there's a way that if you have the professional version, you just click on text recognition, and it straightens all the pages out.
Well, that was all, so I had to scan all that, like, they didn't submit a virtual copy to us.
Oh, yeah.
It was all paper copy that I had to scan.
Well, I'll share the electronic file, or.
We just, it wasn't even directly sent to zoning, it was sent to the, city clerk's office. So I helped them out by scanning it in. It looked fine on my end, so I don't know if something got mixed up.
Sometimes the pages be a little
Well,
wonky.
yeah,
like it's
the page wonky, and then you have, looking at it on the screen, you really have to see it or not. I use small screens. It's hard.
Well, there is an actual physical big map if you want, in Memphis office,
Yeah.
if you wanna see it.
I think that's on the page 2.
What is the deadline to comment on it? Because I think we only have, it's either 30 or 45 days
The 30th, or the 30th.
30th.
of this month.
May.
So
May
this would be your
30th.
opportunity.
May next month.
I'm sorry.
We're, May 30th.
Thank you. Okay.
So when was the last time you saw a comprehensive plan for Burn Township?
I've never seen one.
Well, I mean, is there like a highlights of this thing that? we-
Yes, there is an executive summary in the beginning, and
Okay,
it probably references when it was last done.
all right.
So that's, but we can bring our thoughts together if there are any on May 20th at our workshop session, and then formally agree to them on the 27th.
I guess we only share a border with the Greenfields. Right, that's about it,
Yeah, that,
all residential and a
yeah,
golf
that's
course.
about it.
So we provide sewer service for part of Burn Township.
Yeah.
Um, and fun.
Yeah, the
Um,
plan, the plan
And
hardly
they say
mentioned,
anything-
sorry.
Got it.
Good.
I was say the plan hardly mentions Reading because like you said, we only share that small boundary with them.
Well, there's a lot of impacts. Let's look at, first of all, there's the airport overlay district,
Mhm.
the floodplain overlay district, sanitary sewer system, transportation system. So there are some interconnects that we need to address. I mean, 183 major corridor that comes directly into the city.
Yeah, and I was mentioning yesterday, the Reading Eagle published an article that's titled Reading Airport Officials Urge First Energy to Expedite New Transmission Line in Burn Township, which they've been working on for at least 5 years now. But according to Burn Township, they're at about 91% capacity of what First Energy can get done. And the airport wants a lot more. So they want to put a new transmission line from their one substation and build a substation down by Van Reed Road, next to the airport. Which is, gonna be an interesting thing. I'll forward it to you, Deb. I did send it to Tim.
I did not see that.
But it was in yesterday's paper, and I think, if there's two property holdbacks to get the right of way for this transmission line, everybody else is signed off, but they.
So strategically, Burn Township, they'd like to develop this industrial space. That's really all that there is on the horizon.
They've always had the industrial park.
But they'd like to develop it further.
Yeah.
Which, and if they don't get the electricity, they give up anyway.
Yeah. But for example, one of the newest things that was built there in Burn Township, right down the street from where the glass place is, B&G Glass. At the end of that road, UGI just built a huge facility that's a training center for safety and that kind of stuff. Yeah, not for something like my wife, who's not out on that. Not usually out on the poles, on the poles, but she did have to, well, UGI is the gas company. And, but she did one time have to climb into a ditch to exert.
Oh, that's it, yeah, but it trains.
No, the UGI one is right across,
Oh, that's,
222.
Well, anyhow, the thing to look at is, are there gonna be any impacts? They're gonna be related to land use, community facilities, transportation, and, utilities.
And I think, like I said, I think the biggest thing might be, depending on how they develop the airport, would be how much traffic's coming in 183 or Schuylkill Avenue. Cause that can be pretty heavy sometimes.
or when the airport was active. Correct. I don't know what the traffic scenario was back then. Is Nick from? There is someone called Nick. Nick, are you from One Township? Nick, can you hear me?
Please identify yourself.
I would just,
Can you hear me?
while we're waiting for him, I would just add, Mr. Chairman, that I agree from Reading's perspective, there's certainly interest in Burnt Township for the reasons our consultant mentioned. I would add that the transportation.
No, no. I don't know.
That's public comment.
Will, we lost you there.
It's called it.
Will, can you type in your comment?
Oh.
Must be breaking up.
It's Barbara.
That's the.
Three of them. It's got three devices, one. Oh, okay. Alright. What's that?
What's next?
Okay, we'll try to get back to Will, and of course, we will.
I'm back.
Oh, there you are. Well,
Sorry, my connection is sporadic. Yes, I hope I didn't say a whole lot, so I don't know if you missed. I was just saying, from Reading's perspective, another aspect why Burnt Township is important to us is because the Berks County has a lot of its facilities in Burnt Township. So the transportation aspect is definitely something key for us as well, besides all the other things that were already mentioned. I just meant only in the plan, it hardly mentions the city from Burns' perspective. But certainly from our perspective, there's a lot of interest that we have there for what the planning consultant mentioned earlier.
So that's community facilities and services, and the county definitely provides a number of services that are located along welfare, within the welfare tract, which include the prison.
Yeah.
And the ag center.
yeah, and then of course, at the end of there is Blue Marsh Lake.
Yeah, the Hine, yeah, I mean, there's lots of things
Yeah,
in there that encompasses a great deal of that land.
and they will, it looks like they'll be reopening the juvenile detention center also. So, yeah, there's a lot to think about.
They've got a lot of things in there.
Yeah, the coroners
All
there.
right.
Mhm.
Ag center, yeah. Jeez.
Golf course.
All right, let's see here.
But it's not their.
Did you have a blind property meeting, Peter?
Yeah, we have them quite regularly.
Yeah, anything to?
Anything exciting or new
Yeah,
or
that's right.
interesting? No, I would say that there's a lot of conversation around redevelopment authority in terms of get any more involvement from them on acquired properties. The list of blighted property grows and grows. We need a set of strategies to get stuff off of there. Redevelopment Authority has the ability to take like a sort of the design of the program at the state level was Redevelopment Authority has the ability to take I guess the frustration is that properties get designated as blighted and then they just sit in that state and the owner is not really impacted, right? They may have bought it for next to nothing, and they have some vision or stream of doing something with it someday, but it just sits there. It's like it's not all of them, sure, but there is like roofing over that wall. In some cases, they're a danger to danger collapsing. And that unless the authorities that have the ability to take specific action, do take specific action, then there's the remedy. It's outside the scope of blighted property review committee to take action beyond designated.
Yeah, so hopefully we'll be get that fixed soon. Let's see here. The only other thing I wanted to mention is that in today's Reagan Eagle, there's a story about the greenhouse renovations. So something that I worked on with Bethany 2 years ago or so. And Will also helped with planning on this as to what kind of programs and things that will go on there. So, all right. Next up, we have public comment. Anyone has public comment? Okay, hearing none. The upcoming meetings, our next planning commission workshop meeting is May 20th, 2025 at 5:30 p.m. And then our next regular planning commission meeting is May 27th, 2025 at 6 p.m. Okay, does anyone have anything for the good of the order? Okay, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Mr. Chairman,
yeah.
did you amend the agenda for reorg? Were you gonna reorg?
Oh, yeah, we did, didn't we? Yes, so we got to talk about the reorganization. This is actually the part of that it's always a problem. But anyway, unless the planning commission members have a change of heart, I will continue as chairman for the planning commission. And let's check with Will if he's willing to stay as the co-chair, or as the vice chair.
I am. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I certainly in favor of you continuing as well. Of course, it's up to any of the other members what their preference is. If anybody else would like to seek any leadership positions, we do have the other two offices that are obsolete, and so we don't even conduct a formal election for them anymore. I guess under the bylaws we're supposed to, but we didn't the last time. I think it's treasurer and secretary.
Yeah, we had.
Yeah.
Yeah, Yeah, we haven't done that for years.
Right. Right, and we do need to get back to looking at our bylaws again. We've been really focused and done great work on amending the ordinances, and we're trying to get back to the comprehensive plan. So it's not our number one priority, but at some point we have to get back to looking at the bylaws and improving some things. Maybe that's a workshop session sometime. But yeah, it's not that we're cutting anybody else out of the opportunity. It's just those offices would just be in name only. So it's like, it's superfluous at this point. Because we don't we don't have any funds. We don't take the minutes ourselves, so they're not necessary. But yeah, I'm okay with the way it is, especially under the circumstances. Thank you. And I always just want to get that in, that we're covering those other two officers.
And there is nothing in the bylaws to prohibit you from continuing to serve, correct? There's no term limits or anything?
Yeah, no, there are no term limits.
Okay, I just wanted to confirm. Thank you.
Yes, that's correct. What we used to do as a practice was rotate every year, but we didn't find that prudent the last few years.
Okay, very good. Okay, with that, if there's no objection, do I hear a motion to accept Wayne Beeler, myself as chairman, and Williamson Vesey as the vice chairman again for the 2025-2026 planning commission year?
A question, Mr. Are we just doing the nomination first, right?
Oh, yeah, we gotta go through that part of it.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay,
in case anybody else wants to nominate anybody else, of course, they're welcome to do so from the floor, but yeah.
Yeah.
Just to go through so this would be a nomination.
I'll make a motion to nominate Wayne Beeler as the chair. Can I nominate Will in the same motion?
yeah, we'll do them separate, I guess.
Separate, all right.
Okay,
That's what it is.
all right, is there a second?
I'll
Second.
Okay, James is second. Okay. Very good. Okay. Question on the motions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposed? Okay, very good. And next, do I hear?
I'll make a motion to nominate Wilson Vesey as the vice chair.
Okay.
I'll second.
Very good, James. Okay, question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, opposed? Very good. Now how's this go? Now we have our slate. Now I think we need to make
Right.
we need to make a motion to accept Wayne Beeler, the slate of Wayne Beeler as chairman and Williamson Vesey as vice chairman.
I'll do that.
Okay, Peter?
Second.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay, I'll take Nelson. Question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, I get to do it for another year.
Congrats.
Thank
Or
you.
we get to do it for another year.
Thank you, Wayne.
Okay, thank you, Will.
Thank you for your willingness to serve. And it reminds me of something quickly. A few
Yeah,
months ago when you were absent and I had the connectivity problems and I couldn't participate. If ever that were to happen again, that was very unusual. One of the members chaired the meeting, which so the business was conducted. If that were ever to happen again, just elect a president pro tempore first, and then that person can chair the meeting, make everything legitimate. But like I said, that had never happened before, and that was very unusual. And we thank Commissioner Ryan for doing that. He did a good job with that, especially not planning for that. But generally, we've been able to attend, and we know ahead of time if one of us can't attend it. It's just sometimes there are technical glitches. But thank you again.
Yeah, actually, I did watch that entire meeting.
Oh, well.
And it went very well. It was very long though.
I think that by administration, credits.
Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. Anything else?
All right, very good. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Peter,
Second.
okay, okay, Nelson. Very good. Question on the motion?
Yes, I'm curious, so do we have to go home?
No, we can stay.
Okay,
Yeah,
nope, okay, I'm done.
Right. yeah. Maybe Amy's still here. You can help her with her stack of work. You've ever been in her office?
Going home is recommended.
Okay. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
That's it. No.
Okay. Hearing none, we are adjourned.
Good night.